Good, how are you?
Good to see you.
Yeah,
You're
likewise.
gonna learn for $750, not
Yeah, well, for 35.
Nope. Well, my brother
Yeah.
owned these little houses after my grandparents,
Carlo, his name was
and
Carlo.
he was renting them, and it was, my grandparents rented him for 500. He went to 800, and the new owner put down some thick flooring and went to 1800. It's a, holy shit, that's a big step.
Yeah, this new fuel tax we go through is not going to help anything. New fuel tax on the traffic
Right when gas was going down.
for. They want to raise it back up.
End of summer. Oh, here comes beginning of fall.
Yeah.
It was amazing how front of my needle on my gas gauge jump was 40 bucks last week compared to a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Everybody survives today.
Hope to cling on to hope that one day it'll get better.
I guess you're right.
That's about it.
Yeah.
What choice do you have, right?
I'd like to call the select board meeting of Monday, October 7th, 2024 to order. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Minutes approval, meeting of 9/23/2024.
I move to approve the minutes of the select board meeting of September 23rd, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 4 is select board pay orders.
I move to,
I was looking around, I was like, do we even have it?
I move to approve the pay orders for payroll and accounts payable.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 5 is announcements and correspondence.
I have a few. On the 28th, I forwarded to the board members the audit report from the Deerfield Valley Union Communication District, their financials for the year, calendar year 23. On the 27th, I submitted the Municipal Energy Resilience Program grants. It's the MERP grants. That is for this building as well as the town office building. I submitted a total request of $496,859, most of it for the town office building to help us with some of the funding issues we've got, and then quite a bit for this building as well, ADA things for both of the properties. So those did make it in by the deadline, and we should hear back by the 25th of this month. It's a really quick turnaround. Lastly, the semi-annual PFAS sampling at the former septic fields will take place a week from Wednesday, in other words, October 16th. In your meeting packet, there's a couple of documents from FEMA on the 5 FEMA buyouts from Tropical Storm Irene, so you can see how long it takes to close out some of these projects. And lastly, there in your meeting packet, the signed agreement with RCAP Solutions. You'll recall that the board authorized that agreement with this organization, which is federally funded, to assist us with the village wastewater project, in particular dealing with fees and the ordinance. So we're going to have a meeting with them Wednesday or Thursday this week just to kick things off. So that's all I have.
Just, if you haven't gotten your ballot in the mail, come and see us or call us, or they went out on the 27th.
I'd like to commend the community. There's a hurricane flood relief effort going on. It's led by Hewlett Trucking out of Pollitt. They are filling up tractor trailer trucks, and Londonderry was able to donate 3 truckloads with less than 24 hours notice. Sam's Woodfire Pizza in Manchester was taking donations, and we got 42 trucks in all, including the 3 to Pollitt. They filled up 1 truck already. The other one was going to be filled up tonight. They're sending another truck to Barry. They have stuff. And they will have a truck at Grace Christian School in Bennington from 4 to 6 on Wednesday. They intended on doing 2 trucks, but the community showed up and they're doing 4. I'd like to thank Londonderry Hardware. They took in $1,300 worth of donations. They spent that all on anything they could buy and that would be useful. And Chad Stoddard and James Amadon Sr. for dropping everything they had in less than a couple hours and getting up there on Saturday. And my brother Charlie and Joe Krieg for helping out too. Community gave back when they had to. Yeah. That's all I got. Item 6, visitors and concerned citizens. 6A is meet with representative Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation. Sevitz.
That's me. Thank you for having me. So my name is Meg Staloff. So I am an employee of BDCC. I run the Southern Vermont Economy Project, but I'm here today to talk about BDCC and SEVIDS. I think most of you know. I just like to do a quick review. We send over a funding request every year, and I feel like we try to go out and back that up with making sure you know what it is that we do and that we're here for you. So we send the funding request for SEVIDS. We actually ask every town in the Wyndham region. We serve 27 towns to support regional economic development at the rate of $3 per person. In Londonderry, we're still basing that on the 2010 census numbers because in a lot of the towns up here around the mountain towns, we felt like the 2020 census numbers suddenly jumped up a lot, and so we're just keeping our funding request level. So in Londonderry, same thing. We're going to keep it at that 2010 level, and we thank you. You've funded us the last several years at town meetings, so we really appreciate that. So what do we do with that? So SEVIDS is a nonprofit organization that develops regional economic development strategies for our whole region, and SEVIDS has a separate board and a separate budget from BDCC, but it doesn't have any staff. So it's the BDCC staff who put those programs in action. That SEVIDS goes out and thinks of the strategy, BDCC puts them into action. So our programs run in basically 3 buckets. One is supporting businesses from large to small. So whether people are driving out of town to work for a larger business or supporting the local businesses in town, BDCC is there for that. And again, when there was flood relief to be distributed, BDCC was the one on the ground working directly with businesses that were affected at the time last year, and that's sort of ongoing. Then we also do workforce development, and that's kind of the more regional strategy. So trying to help people, attracting people to the region to fill jobs, and helping people understand what skills they have versus what employers need. That's a lot of the work we're doing now. Is we do a thing called Vermont Employment Pathways Pathfinder, which is an AI tool that helps people connect the skills that they have with jobs that are out there. So it helps people write a resume that says, oh, even if I haven't had that exact job, how do the skills that I have make me qualified to do a job that's needed? So that's really a lot of the work we do. We work in schools, in Dulles Falls and England and Gray and Wyndham Regional Career Center mainly, but we work with those schools to help kids graduate with an idea of what they're going to do in the future. And a lot of times that means, okay, maybe you're going to go away and get educated, but then we hope you'll know that there's what kind of jobs are here for you if you want to come back. So that's work we do. So we have business, we have workforce, and then my department is the community programs where we help support towns, municipalities to build capacity to do what they need. So I know Shane came on a call this week and last summer, and I said, you should call our CAP. Hopefully it sounds like that came through, but it's sort of, we listen to what towns need to say, what could you build capacity? We don't have the funding necessarily to bring to that, but we have the connections and the know-how, and we provide project support and skills. So we do grant writing workshops. And we really are here to sort of help communities move things forward. We work with our partners at Wyndham Regional Commission to say, where are the gaps? What are the things they can't help you with? Can we help fill in? Who can we connect you to? So that's really what we do, because we think, in rural communities, community development and economic development are tied together. So we don't just do business development, we do community development, we do workforce support. That work is often regional, but I know we have a new business program called Biz Connect, where we're really helping to gather business owners together locally. I know there's one coming to Londonderry soon, so Danny and Adam will be up here and really helping business owners connect with each other. We're doing those around the region, so there's one next week in Dulles Falls, we've had them in Brattleboro, we've had them in Vernon, we're going to have one in Londonderry. So we're really trying to help businesses get together more, connect, figure out what they need. I think, we're seeing population-wise, a lot of people getting nearer to retirement age. How are those businesses going to be able to continue? What's their plan? Can they connect with people to keep their business going? So that's the work we do. That's how we use the town funding. It's important to us to have that municipal funding every year because we depend on, for our programs, a lot on grants. And as you know, you have to come up with those matching funds. So my program, just as one example, is to run with a 3-year grant from the USDA, but we have to show that we have cash in hand to match a 3-year grant. And so by having that municipal funding, that allows us to sort of have that base where we can say, yes, we have the cash in hand to fund this program that's going to keep us moving forward and working on programs. So I brought you guys a couple things. I only had 2 copies left of our last year annual report. We can share those around. We're having our annual meeting next week, celebrating 70 years. So anybody from Londonderry Selectboard would like to come, feel free to drop on by. And then this, maybe, Shane, this is for the SEDS project submission. I don't know if you're interested in that, if there's any projects that you want to submit.
Right, and I was going to bring that up to the board, but
Yeah.
I wanted to submit was phase 2 of the South Village wastewater project. And, you know, that is clearly economic development as well as housing-related project, and it's to me an easy project to fund, and hopefully even get that on the priority list so that we can go toward the Northern Borders funding. It would have to be on that list if I'm not
Absolutely.
mistaken. Right.
Yeah, so call me if you have any questions. So we collect, through the state of Vermont, the regional development corporations are asked to collect up to 10 projects. We can have one more that's like a statewide project that's affecting your region that are regional priority projects, and those projects then get shared with things like Northern Borders Commission, Regional Commission for funding. So we urge
Yeah, if we get on
projects that
that
are looking
list,
for funding.
You get extra points when it comes to grant funding opportunities.
No, absolutely. So if you have any questions about submitting that, but we'd love to see that. Any projects Londonderry is doing, but particularly ones where you might be looking for funding, please submit them to we collect them, and then they also go in the comprehensive economic development strategy update, which we're working on. Hopefully we'll be able to share that document pretty soon and, you know, ask the public for feedback on what we think is the direction for the next 5 years as a region, working with Bennington County, one of our concerns. Anyway, so that's what I have. Do you have questions immediately? Things that I can take back and follow up on? Or?
One question I have is we were lucky enough to get some grant funding for design for this building as well as this other building. Is that program still going to be available?
Was that through the USDA?
I think it was, or through you guys. I
Yeah.
think that's where you got your funding. I don't know.
So we did not get funded for the USDA Community Facilities Project. Apparently a lot of that funding actually went to RCAP, believe it or not, so indirectly the USDA. Funding priorities have changed. They were actually, so we don't have the Community Facilities Technical Assistance Program anymore, which we could just sort of fund the startup costs for programs. We don't have that, but I would maybe reach out to Mariah at Vermont Housing Conservation Board for the READY, the Rural Economic Development Initiative. She might be able to help you. They can often do grant writers or give you, $5,000 for an architectural study or something that you need to get to the next step. So I can connect you. READY is often a place where I send people that have projects that are ready to go.
We got a lot of ready projects.
Ready projects, because
We're in the middle of it.
yeah, so that would be a good place, and just, feel free to reach out and I'll see if there's anything else. And we, for a lot of those energy projects or resilience projects that might not have gotten funded through the Municipal Technical Assistance Program or through MERC, we're hoping to work with Wyndham Regional Commission on how can we aggregate those, and maybe there's another solution we can find. No promises, nothing immediate, but we're aware of all those, and sometimes we'll go out and hunt down the thing that will make those all work, we hope. I mean, again, we're all chasing federal funding, right? But we're pretty good at it. So if there's projects that are left unfunded, sort of with all that COVID relief money, it's like, what's the next step for those? So we hope to help them not die and keep them moving forward. And I know Londonderry is full of projects, so keep them going.
Would you like a motion to submit that?
Yeah, I don't mind. I was just going to go ahead and do it, but yeah, it would be great to have the board's support for, it's just to see what would be the best terminology for the board to make a motion to submit that to SEDS.
Yeah, I would say to submit the phase 2 of
Yeah, phase 2 of the South Village wastewater.
I would say for consideration as a regional priority project to.
What she said.
Yeah. That's it.
Second.
All right.
Oh, you need to make the motion.
I move to submit phase 2 of the South Londonderry wastewater project for consideration to SEDS.
As a regional priority.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Any other
If you
business?
have any questions you need help with that,
Yep, you got it.
Get through.
Thank you.
Any other visitors or concerns? Pam?
I have a question about the FEMA buyout. If I read the letter correctly, and I may not have, when those properties are bought and then they're taken down, that area is turned into green space, and it says in perpetuity, and I was wondering if the sellers realized that it was never going to be built on again.
I don't know that they care. I mean, they sold,
just
we bought,
want-
FEMA bought the property and transferred it, you know, I guess we bought it, transferred it to them, and we received some money to pay for that. I wasn't here at the time.
So it becomes town property?
It's town property, and in perpetuity, we can't develop it. We can't put a pump station in it, we can't put, you know, fancy benches, or, you know, there's,
We have several, but we can't do anything.
right.
But could you put benches or something else? Or-
As long, it depends if it's, well, if it's in the flood. We've had that discussion actually with, well, we have one property that did a buyout with the state of Vermont, not with FEMA. That's the one at the northeast intersection of routes 11 and 100.
Aikens Corner.
Right. Aikens Corner, sorry. That is a bit, that's just different. We still can't do anything with it. If we were to put, say, a granite bench on there, I'm sure it's fine. 'Cause
That wasn't a FEMA buyout.
That's what I'm saying. It's not FEMA, it was the state of Vermont buyout. I mean, you're not supposed to put anything there that could wash away.
Okay.
And you can't put any structure. I don't know what we need to figure out exactly what a structure means. Is it a bench structure? I don't know.
I guess they did get approved to put a bench down on the little piece down.
Yeah, I think it just kind of happens sometimes. But I asked the question whether or not we could put a pump station on it because we're doing these wastewater projects, and the answer was a definitive no. We cannot do anything like that, even though it wouldn't be visible from above. But
The basic answer when we asked them about that sculpture was, no, you can't put anything there.
the sculpture, we asked about sculpture, they said no.
I think if there was ever anything that would ever need to be replaced in the event of a flood, the answer would be no.
Yeah, well, also, that was the Aikens Corner property, which is not a FEMA buyout. That was a state of Vermont buyout. So, but anyway, yeah, you read it. It says you can't do anything with it.
Okay. I was just curious if the buyers or the sellers were, and they didn't care.
I
because
think,
they got their money.
if I'm them, I don't care. I mean, I got the money and I'm done.
Okay.
I know the only person who approached us to consider a buyout this time around was told what would happen. But
Yeah.
he decided to go with an elevation project instead.
Right.
I don't think there's any that are actually doing the buyout.
We have no buyouts this time around,
Right.
at this time.
Who pays the property taxes on these buyouts?
Nobody.
They're not
There is
taxed.
no-
They're off the tax.
They're off
Yeah.
they're
Off the tax
roll.
Yeah.
Well, no, not really. We still absorb
But the-
It's
We don't-
divided by the grand list.
it's in the local agreement portion of your taxes.
They're assessed, they're just not
Yes.
taxed.
They're assessed very low.
Right. There's got no real value to them.
Any other questions? Seeing no hands, we'll move on. Item 7, town officials business. 7A, STR administrator, updates on ordinance enforcement and administrative software.
Here's what I have for you. First of all, some numbers. We have received applications now from 53 short-term rental properties, and promises from a good number of additional people who haven't yet filed their paperwork. Tina probably knows this even more accurately than I do, but I think the registration fees paid thus far add up to $19,900. And that's 35 of the unhosted, so the $500 registrations. And whatever the other number is, I think we're at 16, for a couple applications. Fees haven't come in yet, but the paperwork has. So I think we're at 16 of the hosted by local residents and 35 of people who are not there when their place is being rented. So that's just an update. We've signed the contract and started work with Deckard Technologies for their product known as Rentalscape, and it's almost really exciting. It's so close. It's exciting because they have done, and is now available for so far just Jeremiah and Tina and me, but we're welcome to add anybody in the town government who we want to add. We have an increasing list of properties that have live listings and historic listings for Londonderry. That's really good. The thing that stops me short of full excitement tonight is that they have not input all of the registration information yet. So the properties are not yet coded, registered, pending, which means somebody's turned in paperwork, but they haven't been inspected, or they're waiting for a fire marshal visit if they're of that size, or that they're putting in a egress window because they need one, all that sort of stuff that has them working well toward compliance, but they haven't gotten their confirmation back yet. Deckard, they say in the contract they give themselves 4 weeks to get all that information uploaded. So we're still a little ahead of schedule, but they thought they might have done it by last week, so I was eager to share all that with you today. But they're now saying 2 or 3 more days and we'll have all that in, and I'm about to send them a second draft of the Excel spreadsheet that has all the ID, address, property ID numbers, all that kind of stuff. So pretty soon we'll have, a green button on the map, meaning a registered person, some other color, maybe yellow, that says in process, and then red signifying this is a property that has a listing posted, and they are not they have not been flagged by us as registered. And that sets up the next item. So Jeremiah and I had a nice meeting a week ago today to learn more about that Rentalscape software. And then on Wednesday I met with town attorney Bob Fisher, and he has written to Shane and me with a series of steps that the town needs.
Yeah, I included that in the meeting pack.
Okay, great. It's all done. All right. So the result of the meeting, other than just a really productive session, I thought, was I'll just read you the first part of the letter. It says, this is to Shane and me. I, meaning Bob Fisher, have had several calls with the Vermont Judicial Bureau regarding getting the town of Londonderry set up to issue tickets.
It's on your page 12.
Okay. You didn't put the text of his email in there, did you?
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay, great.
There's nothing that we need to hide.
No, you
It's from the town attorney, but it's
You took
just
out all the
advice.
stuff about Nordic skiing and...
Yep. Oh, no, not that. No, I just did page 1.
Okay, good. And to appear before the Judicial Bureau to enforce these tickets. Staff there are very helpful. Because the town does not currently have an assigned state number in order to order the ticket books, we will need to have the select board sign a letter to the Judicial Bureau requesting that the Bureau assign the town number. And then there's also another letter needed. Well, we need 2 letters, and I think the motion that Shane put in the packet suggests that you, the select board, authorize me to compose 2 necessary letters that are part of, that set us up to be able to file for this Judicial Bureau I guess it's accreditation. So the two letters are one to be assigned a 4-digit code by the Judicial Bureau, and then the second one confirming that the town office phone number is where all matters related to short-term rental ordinance enforcement can be, that's the right number.
But also we have other ordinances that we have in the books that allow for us to write tickets. So we might as well, I was just thinking we could have the zoning administrator put in, because there are some things, at least in the future, he'll be able to, well, we can maybe wait till that time, but a new ordinance would allow ticket writing as opposed to just the other things. And also we have the, illegal burning sort of thing. So there's other ordinances for which someone needs to be authorized. So it's not just specific to short-term rentals, i.e. Yeah, and you can always add people later on.
We have a judicial account because we collect fine.
Yeah, I think it's
Traffic fines.
Bob said this is a different,
issuing tickets.
different animal even from zoning
Right, it is.
fees, so. I would
We're
suggest,
going to be 0001.
No, there's a lot of bigger towns that have,
Yeah.
other communities.
They
that
have
work on it.
ordinances for other things, probably.
but I will, if you all accept or make and pass the motion, I think I could produce
We
those.
can work on it together if you like.
I think I'm pretty close. I would go hide in the basement, print them out, and bring them back upstairs. So we might, if you like the text of them, you can sign them before we leave tonight.
It doesn't have to be tonight.
Yeah. Well, just because it's going to take a while to process.
Sure.
I mean, we need a response to be able to apply for the ticket book. So I think in keeping with October being the month that we start to warn people about being out of compliance, and which is does not have to have a fine attached to it, but should they be unresponsive to the written warning, then I'd like us to be able to be in a position to issue tickets where no action is taken by people who get a written warning. And I feel like if we are not in a position to issue the first ticket, then we're slipping behind on what felt like, the beginning of the enforcement period. So, if you'd like a motion, I'll write the letters. I think I'm pretty close. I just have to do a little formatting. But and just to be clear, the steps are to ask for the assignment of a 4-digit code, which has to be on the application to have a ticket book. And then secondly, simply to state that 824-3356 is the phone number which serves as the communication, whatever that is, connection for judicial work around the short-term rental ordinance. So it's not, this is not.
Ask for an email too.
What's that?
It asks for an email too.
To,
With the phone number, it asks for an email.
okay, oh, is that on that
Yes.
second? Okay, well, I'll work through that. But do you want to look at the text of the motion that? Okay.
I'm happy to move it. I move to authorize the short-term rental administrator to draft appropriate letters to the Vermont Judicial Bureau for Select Board signature to enable participation in enforcement proceedings and designate as both issuing and appearing officials the short-term rental administrator, the town administrator, the town constable, the town attorney, the town clerk, and any select board member.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well,
Go for it.
They're quick. I'll bring them upstairs and we can look at them later.
Sounds good.
Just before I pass on to item 8, are there any other questions about short-term rental activities or any other updates that the board wants?
No, nothing specific. I think we're good.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
I think we have a great town attorney. I will say that. I learned a lot. Yeah, it really felt like a good session, and he thinks you all have written an excellent ordinance, and he's finding some frustrations with the lack of enforcement language that other towns went with, and so I think he thinks we're in a really, a good place to make good on it.
So I'm wondering if you've had an opportunity to send to the people who are registering the information that I emailed you about.
I have not, I don't have any information from you that I will send.
I'll send it again.
Okay, well, let's.
I'll call you.
Yeah, let's check your email address, because I have not gotten any email from you in many months.
I have a question for you. Have you heard that Friends Meeting is 2 people for you?
Oh, no, that's good. What's that question?
I asked him if he had been notified that the planning commission has 2 people for him.
Yeah,
Trevor Howes and Graham Marito.
No, I haven't heard, so.
Yeah, on the board to review our ordinance once it comes time.
Okay. Oh, that's great news.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 8. Have a good night.
Sure, anytime, it's a nice to do it. If I do it.
Item 8, transfer station, solid waste management, 8A's update.
I guess that what my updates are concerning the couple of items.
8B, consider compactor project improvements and expenses.
So, we have the quote for the compactor, we have the quote for the concrete pad. What we're missing is the getting electricity to the compactor. And I saw Gary Barton, and he said he needs info, but he wasn't clear about what he needed, so I emailed him today and hoping that he'll get back to me. My other question is about who's going to coordinate this. Is it you, Tom? The pad, the compactor, the electricity?
I can. Do we have a cement company
I'm
lined
sorry.
up?
The cement company, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I gave the quote last time
Yep.
for that amount. And when I hear from Gary, I'll send any information to you.
Yep.
Good, thank you.
Any further discussion about the compactor?
I think it seems like a great idea that we've talked a lot about, so.
So the thing is that it's going to take some time. I think the concrete pad isn't going to take a while. Ordering the compactor might take a little while. And it would be good, I mean, since there may be a lot of changes coming, it would be great to put it all together and get word out. So the next item, the vending machine, the fact that we can go to zero sort recycling, if there's a change in the cost to do all of this stuff, it'd be great to be able to just write it. Here are the changes that are coming. So I don't know the timing of when the compactor could be ordered, but sooner the better so I can put the word out. I started to write something up.
Question. By doing this, will the traffic pattern be changed? Will the different things be in different locations?
So, the fellow, Randy DuPrown, came from Casella, and initially he thought that the compactor should be moved over to, if you're looking into the transfer station, over to the right. But what he didn't realize was that there's an opening on both sides. So, and Randy suggested that it be right where the 230 yarders are by the recycling shed now, so the paper and the mixed containers.
In the center of the loop.
Yeah.
Currently.
Yeah, so people could stop on one side, go do their trash, or go do their trash and come around and do their recycling on that side.
And will it be a roof over it?
Not unless we build it.
That's what I mean, when I worked in Rockingham, that's what we ended up doing. We had compactors, several of them, and found that we had to build roofing over them to prevent ice and snow and what have you.
Even though the openings are on the side
Yeah.
and not in the front.
Yeah, it's worth taking a drive over there to see what they did.
So I don't know if that has to happen like when the thing is put in, or it could be done later.
The only thing I would do
It was
is
after the
just
fact, when you, there.
pour the concrete, just pour it large enough for the footprint of a structure around it. If the pad fit underneath the compactor, you would have to make changes to build something over it. So if the pad was large enough, you could just build the structure right
So the.
near that. I mean, or just at least figure out what the structure might
I would
look like.
take a drive over to Rockingham's, and I'm sure there's other examples out there. That's just one I was participating in.
The pad is going to be 10 feet wide.
How wide's the compactor?
Yeah, how wide is the contract?
I don't think I brought that. Oh, wait, here it is. I don't know. 8 feet. Looks like 8 feet.
Well, it might be a thing where a pier has to be set outside of the pad to, I mean, it has to remain pretty open, but just a canopy to keep snow off, but you can't cover the sides or the ends, right?
Right,
So,
right. So how much wider do you think it needs to be than the compactor? I mean, would 10 feet not be enough? Because that
Well,
only
it-
leaves 1 foot.
Foot on each side?
it depends on, I mean, I guess I would think of it as, if it's gonna be a canopy, it could be just like maybe corner bearing points, so maybe having it wider doesn't really matter. It would just be supporting the corners or foreseeing what that might look like. You wouldn't necessarily have to make it wider, because you're not gonna build walls in front of the openings, right? So it might be just good to identify what the structure might look like, so you didn't either put something in the way or not put something there that needed to be there.
You have to look at other facilities just to learn from their mistakes if they didn't do it the way they should have. It would be a shame to not do it right the first time.
Learn from, you said.
What others have done, if you go to other transfer stations that have put in compactors, see what they did, and if they're happy with what they did. If not, why not?
Yeah. So
There's
you said you're going to visit Walpole, or you want me to visit?
I was recommending Rockingham. I'm not planning on it. I was the town manager there when we put them in there, a couple of them, and on pads, and eventually did put structures above a part of them, not the entirety.
So Rockingham has a cover.
Yes,
Okay.
they did do that.
Yeah, I could visit.
And it might be that they should have poured it wider or not nearly as wide as they did, so it's worth taking a look.
Who's to say that it needs to be in the pad?
Well, that's what I'm suggesting is, whether it does or doesn't, at least maybe having a plan for a canopy if it's something that's required, then we're not doing something backwards.
We can't really dig down for piers.
Well, and maybe it ends up being an additional pad or something that's,
I think if we're gonna do it this way, maybe we should wait till next meeting and just get a full idea of the best way to do it.
to do the canopy
Yeah.
over it. I mean, the compactor is,
Because if we're gonna have to add a little bit to that pad, we're gonna have to get a new quote anyway.
I mean, I think
Maybe Gary
it
will have his
might be
quote in.
helpful to understand how people are going to use it. Like, do you step up onto the pad to get in there, or is the pad going to be short enough
The pad is 6 inches deep.
and
I think it's
flush?
Flush,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so it's not in the
No,
way
not a
of,
tripping hazard.
right, yeah, it's,
Right in.
the approach from the user is flush.
Right.
Is 6 inches enough to bear that weight, or do we have to enhance?
No,
it?
that's the recommendation from the company, from Casella.
It would be enough to bear the weight of the equipment, but if you put a post on the corner, it
Have
wouldn't
to
be enough.
enhance those corners
Right. Or do something
outside.
oversized that would be outside of that, yeah. But like Tom was saying, you can't dig down because of the,
They're letting us dig down to
Landfill.
6 inches, but I don't think we can dig anymore.
yeah.
After I can show you what was done there. Here's the main facility, but there's one there with a roof over a part of it, and the same over there, and put in 2 of them.
So just the roof is only over the,
Where people are accessing it, and the machinery as well. There's, there's roofs over
One end, the red.
2 facilities.
Oh, I see.
So it looks wider than the pad, the structure.
It does, but maybe they regret doing it a certain way, and they would have done a different way, and maybe they wish they weren't there to begin with. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
It's
But
always,
this is something we did 8 years ago.
I think it's always best to do the research and do it right the first time.
Learn from others' mistakes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
My recommendation.
okay.
There's a guy named Larry White who runs it.
So let's do a little more research, I guess, and then come
I'm
back
sorry,
to it. I said do a little more research and then we'll come back to this at next meeting.
Sounds good to me.
So we got a clear picture of what we do.
But if the compactor needs to be ordered and it's out by, I don't remember what he said, 4 to 5 weeks, might have been longer than that. I mean, that's gonna keep me putting things off.
Yeah, but if we need to increase the pad, we need to increase the quote.
I'm sorry.
If we need to increase the pad size, we're gonna
Yeah.
have to get a new quote. And we need to have a fairly good understanding of what the full cost is gonna be.
So I think that the fellow who's doing the pad seems to be right on task. You know, and I wrote him and said that I was pretty confident we were going to move ahead, so keep us in your line. And he said, great, thanks.
It sounds like the ordering of the equipment would just set everything in motion, and then the rest of it would just have to happen quicker, but, I mean,
Yeah, that's to set it up,
Yeah.
all that.
right.
This time of the year, they'd probably put that quickener in there.
November 1st,
Yeah.
they start adding chloride or additives to the concrete. So if it's beyond November 1st, it's gonna be more money than if it wasn't included.
What's everybody's thought?
I wouldn't want to hold up the project because, given the time of year, I think, you know, if you needed to order the equipment, then that just encourages us to make quick decisions and research.
Right, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And I guess the pad wouldn't be too much to add on a foot or two.
Incrementally.
Right, I wouldn't think so either. And the fact that they can't go deeper really doesn't change the design.
Yeah.
You know, it might just, maybe there's more steel in the corners or something, you know.
And I was
More
thinking,
rebar, maybe.
one thing we can do to help the price is we put in $10,000 for a new gate
For a new gate?
in the budget. Yeah. So we could just transfer that into the compactor and work on the gate next year, because we haven't talked to anyone yet.
And you're saying use the 10,000 potentially for the shed roofing for it. So,
Just to offset
Just
any of
outside
the cost.
concrete.
but there is going to be a cost if we are going to put a shed roof over it.
Yeah.
So, should we let Esther, though, go ahead and place the orders?
Given the time of year, I think there's a pretty definitive timeline for, you know, pouring concrete it's gonna have to be done, especially flat work, slabs. You know, the weather won't be conducive to waiting too long, so.
Yeah, I would say move ahead with it.
Yeah, and
Is it
we'll,
still a used compactor?
I'm sorry, what?
Is it still a used compactor that you were
No.
talking about?
No.
No, 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 it's a new
Brand
one.
new.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we didn't look into a used one.
Yeah, well, there was discussion about it a couple of times back in July.
Huh?
Well, so we're saying let Esther go ahead.
I don't think that there's a motion for that anyway. I think that's for the,
No, there wasn't a motion.
for the vending machine is the other equipment that we're talking about. What's the timeline? What's the timeline for ordering the compactor then? You're saying the sooner the better because of the lead time, but
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. I have to look at it.
I think the other part of that is even if you don't order the compactor right away, the important part is getting the preparation made for it, right? That's the decision-making part. And if the pad is sitting there,
That's
the
okay.
equipment can come at any time,
Right.
It's not as weather dependent to order probably, so.
Right. Well, the other issue was trying to get word out about if there, and I think if you're gonna make changes, don't do it in dribs and drabs. It'll make people really uncomfortable. I think if you're gonna make changes, say, here's what's happening, here's the changes coming, get ready, let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, and I'm thinking, mid-December, we would have everything in place, including the vending machine, right?
Yeah.
If that's the route we're gonna go, right?
I think that sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
I see on the vending machine, Esther, that,
That's the next one.
oh, okay, we're not there yet?
No.
All right.
Is there like a spec sheet for the compactor? I'm just curious.
Is there a spec sheet?
Yeah, a quote that they gave, a written quote and spec sheet?
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
and Tom has a copy of this spec sheet also. Yeah, it's all happened. I have some emails that I'll send to you. I thought you had it all.
Well, I'm just curious. I
Yeah,
don't need it for myself. Just
But-
the board had seen it.
it would be good to have it in the minutes, right?
Yeah, I was thinking
Okay.
that.
Does anyone want to craft a motion?
Yeah, I just didn't know where we were on it, so I didn't put
Yeah.
together any kind of motion.
Well, can we just record that we're encouraging Esther to continue researching the best, what do you call it, but sort of superstructure over, or whether or not she needs a superstructure over the compactor, and to make sure that the pad that goes below the compactor can accommodate one if we need it.
Well, I think we need a motion if we're gonna spend town money on this.
Yeah.
Do you know what the lead time is on the compactor? A week,
6
a
weeks.
month?
I think you said like 4 to 6
What?
weeks.
She said 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks.
I'm gonna have
So I
to
would
go
get
back
that piece
and
done
look at
now.
that.
You could vote on that now and wait 2 weeks on the other part.
Ordering the equipment with the lead time
Yeah.
and making the rest of it come together in time.
Until we have something to work on.
What was the rough schedule on the concrete pad currently?
I don't have a date.
Oh, okay, but there's somebody committed.
Yeah, she said
Yeah.
keep us in line.
He's
Say
great,
that.
he's very
Yeah.
responsive.
There's a big pour coming to the town office sometime soon. Get this done at the same time. Probably different spec, I'm sure.
Could be.
Interior versus exterior. Chris, you would know.
Next week.
I think they have a,
Hi.
Chris Hall, the town office project, some concrete work next week inside the building. I'm not sure who the concrete person.
Because of the situation.
Carol?
Did whatever they did the other day, or the footings.
Okay, yep.
I'm pretty sure it was a daily truck, wasn't it?
But you wouldn't be ready, I mean, closing down the sizes, doing the
No,
research,
it
et
was- I
cetera.
think it
I don't
was
see
daily.
you pouring this next week, but we can get the information pulled together over the next 2 weeks for when you come back.
Are you saying to do both at the same time?
No.
Okay.
No, I think the slab, I mean, the concrete, there might be an upcharge if it's less than like 6 yards or something like that, but piggybacking the two, there might not be a large benefit, depending on.
I'm sure there are different types of
Slab
concrete as well.
The slab mix might be different than wall mix, so I don't know that really.
And have you talked to any excavation company about doing the digging for the pad?
I'm sorry, what?
Have you talked to an excavation company about doing the digging for the pad? We gotta dig down 6 inches.
No.
This is how this whole conversation started. She was looking for help from somebody on the select board to help her coordinate everything.
Right.
So we're sort of done this great big circle here.
We can't do the excavation for that?
Is it a big deal for
We could
6
put-
inches?
We could probably do
We
it
got
with
two
the,
guys out of 4.
yeah, we could probably do it with the backhoe, but we'd have to get someone to run it. I don't think the road crew has any time to do that.
I would think, I mean, it may not even meet the bid requirement,
Yeah,
but it should be done by somebody that has a laser to level
Yeah,
the
you're gonna
bottom
wanna-
of it and or add good material if necessary.
yeah.
So I'm wondering.
I'm sure we can reach out to Hunter. Or Shaves.
Person you want to
Yeah,
contact right now.
it's in everybody's books all over the place, so
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
That's the hard part. It's crunch time everywhere for sure, so. But we have a minimum of 5 people that we do business with, so
Yeah,
might be worth
it'd only be like a day job for him.
not even.
Yeah.
So, Steve, I think, was talking about having Shaves come and move the leaf and yard waste pile, return it. And I'm wondering if that would be the right people to dig the 6 inches.
Yep. Any of the excavation companies could do it.
Anyone there with, if he's already there with a machine especially.
Yep.
So, you want to talk to them? You want me to talk to them?
I can give him a call. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
I can give him a call.
okay.
Have you talked to him about doing the leaf and yard yet?
Steve just took that on, I don't know what if he's planned it.
All right, I'll check with him tomorrow. So we're gonna make a motion to move on with anything, or?
Do we need something?
If we're spending town funds, we need something, yeah?
Make a motion to order the compactor equipment and prepare the concrete pad for it with consideration for a future canopy to be built.
Works for me.
There you go.
Something like that.
Yeah, just say it one more time.
All you gotta do is say second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Moving on to 8C, consider purchase of vending machine for punch cards.
Now can I ask Esther this question?
Yes.
Esther, it says on here that the warranty is void if it's outdoors, so that will probably require some structure over it also, right?
It's in the store.
Yeah, it's gonna be in the store.
Yeah, it's gonna be in the store.
The unit is in the entryway undercover at the grocery store, is that
I
correct?
think it would be in the store, not in the entryway.
Oh, it's going in the store, okay.
Yeah.
And there's a 1-year warranty for a new machine and a 90-day warranty on a refurbished machine, but there's only one total price at the end.
Yeah, because it's a new machine.
So you're not considering that refurbished?
I guess we could.
Well, I was just curious.
Yeah, I didn't chat with them about a refurbished. This is all new to me, so,
Well, I prefer new myself.
Yeah.
It seems like if they had a refurbished one, he might have offered it to you.
What?
It seems like if they had a refurbished, they might have offered it.
Well, actually, the salesman was trying to upsell me.
No.
So, but I did go from the original quote, and I said, hey, I think the Mini would work for us. And he said, yes, ma'am.
And the grocery stores agreed to that?
Yep. Yes.
So that would have been, that would be 5 to 7 weeks out because we wanted, or I told them we wanted the wrap. And the wrap is what will give all the information about who we are, what we're doing, and information about how to proceed. So that, you need to really think about that and maybe get help, you know, thinking about what needs to go on that.
Have 5 to 7 weeks to think about it, or not quite, I guess. But
What's that?
you'd have some time because of the lead time to think about what goes on the wrap. There's probably a deadline for that too, but
I don't know how long, they have this whole design department, so I don't know how long it takes them to do it.
once you feed them the information, then they do the format.
And I have to send them samples of our punch cards also, so they can configure the machine to spit them out when they're ordered.
Right.
Is it a one-item vending machine, or is there the potentiality of having 6 different things in there?
It's gotta have at least 3, because there's the,
Oh, that's right, it's gonna have the 3 different
Three different
types of cards, okay. I was just thinking if we came up with a swimming voucher or something at Pingree Park, at Memorial Park or
We had
something.
talked about that. I just think it
It
complicates
does,
it.
right, that does, yeah.
It complicates it.
Especially since we're using a town credit card.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it'd probably change the price.
Yeah.
And have we figured out, I know you had said in the memo, this is probably the time to think about changing the charge for this.
That's the next.
Right, but let me just ask a question about paying for this. Is there, somebody run the numbers to figure out how long it would take us to pay ourselves back if we increased by 5% the charge or something? I mean, are we worried about that? No, okay, I see a no.
I think there was some consensus on it being good timing for raising
Right,
the
right, I was just
fees a
wondering
little
if
bit,
we've,
but I don't know that the calculation really.
we weren't trying to,
There's no way to calculate it. I mean,
So, I'm sorry, is that the next item? So, we're not ready there yet?
yeah.
Did we put up signs in the town office and at the dump saying that there's going to be a change in the punch card thing?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I think that's what Esther's saying. We want to do this rollout of all the information at the same
You want
time.
what?
I want to wait until we figure it out, and then we'll have one solid bunch of information. I've already gotten an email from the hardware store saying, hey, the grocery store told us they're going to sell punch cards. So, you know, so I want to be really targeted and careful about how we do it.
Mm-hmm. The store didn't want anything for doing it.
Yeah, they wanted not to be involved at all.
So they're gonna make us sign something.
They're going to what?
They're gonna make us sign something.
hold harmless or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing blows up and burns the building down. I mean, their insurance company's gonna require it, or they will, without question.
I think that's,
That was, so the VP of the markets in general, because there's a bunch of them around the state, is going to meet with me next time he's down this way. He said he would let me know when he's here, so, yeah, we
We
could,
just have to name them as an insured.
Right.
Or add it to our list of property.
Right, if we own it, we should add that to our
Yeah, we need to
property
add it.
list.
We do that.
At the same time, we do the radar feedback signs.
so I mean, it's all new to me, right? This is like a chance for taking, but it's the only option that I can
I think it's
figure out.
great. I thank you for having done all this research and,
I just hope it's the solution,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Very cutting edge. It's exciting.
Thank you.
Does anyone care to make a motion, or is there further discussion?
I would move to authorize the recycling coordinator to purchase the recommended vending machine from Remark Vending in the amount of $8,544.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
8D, consider changes to facility fee structure.
So along with everything else, you know, Tina had said to double the price of the stickers, but I think that's going to be too big an amount. So would suggest the residential annual sticker go from $10 to $15, and the commercial sticker go from $25 to $30. And that's only, you know, my thinking. You guys can sort of, you know, talk about it. The other thing that I think we should really consider is charging one punch for recycling for a couple of reasons. Recycling is free, but it's not. I mean, it's free to the people that bring the stuff, but it costs a lot of money. We're investing in this, you know, compactor, and I just, if we charge one punch, which at the moment is equal to $2 for each visit to the recycling part. So not to make it complicated, like let's weigh your stuff, or how much stuff do you have?
And you don't have to sort it anymore, so it's a convenience.
And you don't have to sort it, exactly, exactly. The thing that I thought about is, so I know that Keith isn't there all the time, so Steve would have to ask, do you have recycling? And then he could mark the punch card as they go through.
Have you talked to them about this?
No, not yet. But the other thing is people just come to recycle.
Keith's gonna have to be on it, or somebody.
Or we're gonna have to ask everybody to go toward Steve, which will make it crazy. But yeah, but we'll have to talk to the guys about that. That's your job.
But paying for it, doesn't that disincentivize it? And they'll, people
I'm
just
sorry.
throw, I'm sorry. Wouldn't, if I could, wouldn't having to pay for recycling disincentivize it? In other words, people might just throw away their recycling with their trash?
Well, they could. That certain people do it now.
It's
But
less
they'd be
money.
more apt to do it, potentially.
It would be less to, one punch for any amount of recycling would be less than,
Than bringing 3 bags of recycling.
but, you know, I mean, convenience is valuable too, I guess. So.
When we first started, the state law was you couldn't charge for it, and then they changed it.
So you can now.
So you can, and other places do.
Because you used to make money on it.
Right.
You used to be able to sell it and make money on all that stuff.
Yeah.
Not in like 10 years.
So anyway, that's my thinking. I don't know if it's correct, so.
As a business owner, I think a $5 increase is like hardly noticeable, especially when a business owner could disperse their added costs among all of their clients or customers. So I mean, going from 10 to 15 for residential is 50% more. So I think you could go up more on the commercial sticker and not
Like to
get too much
35?
feedback.
40.
Yeah, or 40, I mean, I don't.
How many commercial stickers do we issue a year?
We order 100. We don't sell them all, though.
Right. And how many individual or residential stickers?
About 1,000.
1,000.
And that's not even, that's 5 towns.
I think
Well, that's 5 towns.
Yeah,
most contractors that go in there with like dump trailers and stuff, they're spending, you know, $120 every time they go through there. So, and that might be once a week, or, you know, $40 is like the cheapest part of the whole thing, really, so.
Yeah.
So you think $40 for the commercial?
Well, I'm just giving my perspective.
and they
I
do
think-
pass it on. A lot of them ask for a receipt so that they can pass it on to the homeowner or the,
Yeah,
Right.
they're not
Yeah.
paying for it.
yeah.
Right, I think that's kind of the point, is if a person is doing trash pickup at, you know, 20 places, he's only raising his price $2 for each person, so it's dispersed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Well, instead of going up 50% for the residential, why don't you go up 25% and cause it to be whatever that would be? What would the
Maybe
additional?
$12.50, but you don't wanna do 50 cents.
Well, that's why I
Not to
was,
change. I would not want to do change.
So assuming that.
I think 40 is a nice.
40,
round number.
15, and then a punch for recycling, I don't think it's anything crazy.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, I'm sure someone will yell, but
The cost of this is only gonna continue to go up, so.
oh yeah, trash doesn't
If
go
we,
down.
if we get a
Pay it
decent
up front,
sized
pay it in your taxes.
increase now, it'll last a while.
But any deficit we have that the transfer station doesn't make up for, all the towns pay in their taxes, so. One way or the other.
And this also puts the onus of supporting the transfer station on the people who actually use it, right?
Rather than every taxpayer.
Yeah. So if the residential went up $5 and the commercial went up 15, you'd probably add about $8,200 revenue.
Which is the cost nearly of the equipment.
The cost of that vending machine.
There you go.
There we go.
Sounds good to me. Anyone care to make a motion? Well, I guess the effective date, when would we want to do that? That's the only
Yeah,
question.
January 1st.
January 1st.
That's when the new sticker.
January 1st.
We are, we're
perfect.
gonna,
Yep, makes sense.
we're gonna start selling the new stickers before January 1st, so maybe
December,
November 15th.
November 15th, all right.
Or just going forward for the 2025 stickers. Could you say that, and beyond?
Everybody's gonna come in and buy a bunch.
It doesn't,
No, so for the 2024 stickers will still be $10, but if you come in and get a 2025.
It
it's
should go with the year end,
Yeah.
because nobody's gonna buy a new sticker at the end of the year, right?
well, they do, because we have people coming up for the winter,
Yeah.
and they have to buy a 2024 sticker
Well-
for just,
Sometimes I'm nice, and if they buy a 2025, I give them a 24 if they're only here for a week, you know.
Yeah, I think there's probably
It's a
some
bonus.
room there, yeah.
The stickers is more of an easy part, it's the recycling when we start that, if we're gonna do that.
It kind of depends on when the equipment is in place and, well, not really, but
Well, we gotta have the compactor to do the zero sort, so.
see, so I was thinking, because of the amount of time it would take to get the vending machine, that we say as of December 15th. Could be as of December 31st, right?
the fiscal year doesn't really matter because it's right in the middle anyway, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, we could say January 1st, that way we got plenty of time to get the word out. And we can just, in the motion, you say the 2025 stickers are gonna go up. Yeah, and charging
2025
for-
and beyond. or
And
whatever.
charging for recycling will start on January 1st.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, all of the changes we were talking about?
Yeah.
This as of January 1st?
Yeah, so the motion, you just say sticker prices are gonna go up, and then as of January 1st, you will be charged one punch for recycling.
And you'll be able to throw all of your recyclables into.
Yes, into one.
single stream.
People might save it up and just come like once a month or something, not every week,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
That way
I
they
mean,
can save money. 'cause
Yeah.
they-
I'm sure there'll be challenges.
Yes, there will be.
Well, one way to say to people anyway, charging for recycling, you're paying for it anyway,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's true, but they don't want to pay twice, right? They don't want to pay in my taxes and at the transfer station.
Well, taxes shouldn't go up if it pays for the equipment though, right?
Wonderful.
Theoretically.
Anyone can make that motion.
It's kind of complicated.
I would, I have no idea what it is.
Right.
I'll do it. I move to amend the fees for use of the transfer station as follows. 2025 stickers for commercial will be $40, up from 25. And residential stickers will be 15, up from 10. And also on January 1st, 2025, we will charge 1 punch for recycling.
Effective.
Say January
Oh, you said-
1st.
yeah.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Quick question, since we're talking about the fee and everything, I know a while ago we talked about weighing. Is there any talk about going to a weighing system instead of just a volume system?
We have to purchase
There's been
scales
talk
too, right?
about that, and people have told me that there are transfer stations that have weight scales on top of a landfill. I haven't been to one.
Rockingham has that.
Rockingham
Is
does.
it for commercial only?
I know they looked into it.
But
They said it
Anything.
Alva has it.
So at the transfer station I used to work at had a scale.
well, I would say, since we just spent about 40-something grand on the transfer station, that would be a discussion for next year.
That'd be on next year's item.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Long-term though, would be.
Moving on to item 9, roads and bridges, 9A's updates.
Yeah.
Peter, can we do that when he's back with his letters?
We can look at that. Right. Yep.
We got equipment fuel for September is 532 gallons. The transfer station got 200 gallons. The radios are being installed on Thursday. And all the equipment. Paving, we will be here tomorrow morning. He's meeting at 7, we're gonna take a ride around, I assume the equipment's showing up around there too. Sounds like he's starting on Gary Woods. And the truck is at Reed's, showed up there last time.
See again?
The truck is at Reed's.
One step closer?
It doesn't have headlights.
Oh, no. Those
So-
are before.
Hopefully it's no during the day. I guess something to do with the cabs from the specs from the truck they built that I drive to the new one. They're not the same, so nobody realized there wasn't wires for wiring the cloud lights up. So they tried to connect them like they did with the truck I drive, and didn't have the connectors, so Scott's working his magic to do it something. There's a text I got this morning, so hopefully soon.
Can I ask you a question on the fuel amounts and things like that? Can we get to the point where you're able to give us comparison figures from a year ago at least? So that we can see whether or not it's trending one way or the other, or it's different from one year to the next? I know this.
I can make a spreadsheet.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to
I
make.
think there is one already in the
We
Yeah.
started one.
time
while
cards,
ago,
in the
but I don't-
time sheets,
I
there's a,
don't know if anybody's finished or done anymore. But yes,
But thank you, that would be helpful.
I mean, I'm gonna say we're pretty average year to year, just
Yeah.
by ordering. It seems like same time of year, we order the same amount of fuel,
Right.
so.
yeah.
Summer is pretty consistent. The
Yeah.
winter probably would be consistent with the amount of salt and sand that we use. When we're using a ton of sand.
I mean, you see, I think there's like the road mowers that they have, so using less. So, you
But
know,
it
it
was
depends.
busy for the last 3
Right, depends
months.
on what we're doing, I guess, to how much. But yes, we can figure something out.
More fuel consumption means more work, right?
Right. What we're doing.
That's great, thank you.
And one thing to add to that, it's gonna look a little different too, because now we have a tractor, we have a little mower.
True.
Yeah.
The more equipment you get, the more fuel you're gonna be using.
Unless you have less guys running more equipment.
Oh, that's the other thing. Not quite as many of us out there now, so hour-wise, I guess. But,
Anything else, Josh?
no, that's it on me.
Yeah? Alright.
Nothing new.
Thank you for all you do.
Moving on to 8B, discuss winter maintenance. Shane wanted to put this on just because we are down still 2 road crew members. We got 2.5, 2.3 or so.
Donnie does 29 hours a week.
Yeah.
But that's an average over the year, right? From January 1st to January 1st.
Yeah.
So he didn't work from January to June when he came to work for us.
Yeah.
So he can work extra time. I mean, like I was talking with Taylor the other day, I mean, to me, we're a 3-man crew. We know a storm's coming, we're just gonna have to replan our routes, but we're gonna have 3 tandems now, not a 6-wheeler. So that's gonna save trips back to get reloaded or whatever. I mean, we're gonna have hurdles and bumps, but we've been a 3-man crew as long as I've been here. Never had back.
2-man crew.
Right.
Yeah, I just want, I've been putting ads in the Vermont Journal, not getting anything, and I don't know if the board wants me to go further out. I mean, start, every once in a while I'll put one in Vermont local roads with everybody else. I mean, every town, if you get the Vermont local roads announcements, and almost every day there's some town looking for a road crew member.
I think the hard part is with construction companies being so busy until the weather changes.
Yeah.
We're not going to get any bites until maybe some layoffs or slowdowns start, and even then, it's hard to say. But right now, nobody's going to hire anybody really. So it might be getting closer to some people becoming available. I mean, this is like the time when people change.
Yeah, we tried Indeed in the past. What we ended up getting from that is people wanting, dealing with unemployment. So they submit an application, then you call them about it, and they never answer the phone. And so I've not seen good luck there. So I mean, I could go back to the Chester paper and others out there, but it gets expensive. But we got to get somebody, I think, to my view.
Well, say if we're not advertising, people are knowing either, so.
Right. I'll just keep trying to get the word out there.
Yeah, I think locally and seasonally, there's hopefully there's a change coming where maybe we'll start to get some more interest. But everybody now is so busy that they're not even thinking about looking for work. So it's.
Does it ever happen that a town works with a school system and acts as a sort of a technical college, if you will, getting kids who aren't necessarily in the college track, but who are interested in these kinds of trade jobs, and you could create a mentorship program for kids who are interested in this kind of work? At least going down and talking to seniors or juniors.
The trouble there is the cost of a CDL now is pretty expensive, so, I mean, you're looking for someone trained, but they're gonna have to get the CDL, and what's that cost nowadays?
$6,000.
$6,000 or more.
Yeah.
I think there definitely are programs. There's one in Rattleboro, I believe, and maybe Bennington too, that tries, it's almost like a connection program for graduating seniors, like what you're talking about.
Bennington does, that's what BBA goes through.
Yeah.
What's that?
Bennington has one, that's what BBA goes through.
An interesting thing that just occurred recently too was Coda and Coda sponsored, they call it a Touch a Truck program.
I saw that.
Where they, invite people to bring equipment, and they allow, younger
Little
generation
kids,
people, to go and see what a job allows you to do. You know, if you do this, you get to run this kind of machine or drive this kind of truck. And I mean, those types of things, that exposure to what your type of work is, I think is what builds interest, you know, in it's the younger generation we're going to have to look to for all that for sure. So, but it takes a long time.
Oh, it does, it does.
I'm going to career day at Selectboard on Thursday.
Good, yeah.
Look around for us, will you?
It is a long process.
Is that something the Southern Vermont Economic Development Court can help with? They're talking about connecting people with
I know, you'd
jobs,
think.
so.
I mean, it's sort of the
They
same thing you have to do in healthcare. Yeah.
Professional groups, but I don't think
I mean, I think it's a nationwide problem with people in the trades and municipal jobs, and I mean,
people don't stay at jobs either.
I mean, we're having trouble finding a second full-time driver. So and we're looking all over the place.
yeah, no, it's through every industry, really.
Yeah.
I don't know where they all are, but
My code driver used to be a teacher,
They,
and he trained to drive for them.
Well, just have to keep running out there and hopefully someone sees it one day.
all right.
Moving on to item 10, old business. 10A, town office renovations, consider change orders. There's a couple in there.
With us is Chris Cole, who, as you know, we have hired to assist us with the project, and was hoping he could not only just speak to this here, but maybe just give a quick, brief update on the whole project, which is, they're really taking it to it.
Thank you for having me help you manage this project. It's already 1 month in that I've been involved, since we got started. Project's going well. GPI, I think they're an excellent contractor. I've never worked with them before, but they got a good handle on it, good format, good structure. John Sacacciaccio I've worked with before, and he's excellent as well. So I think we're up to application number 2 just came in.
Yep, it's in the pay order.
For payment, right?
Yep.
And we're really just getting started. But there are no issues as far as schedule, costs. We're tracking with the original contract. Shane, Tina, and myself did get together last week or the week before. I'm putting together a master budget report, which would be used to take all the contracts are fine, but they get you the committed cost. We want to know what the changes are, what the pending changes are, where the costs come, who's tracking that. Like you talk about tracking cost. So we are putting that document together and working with these guys. We'll monitor that on a monthly basis. With that being said, I think what's up for review today is change order number 1.
Well, the board already approved that for $13,000 for the roof.
Okay, wasn't there 3 or 4 different pieces of it?
Change order 1 was, the 13,000, that was included in the packet. I'm not sure why they did that.
4 different pieces in there.
That they included everything.
Right.
It was a
So that was a good example of,
this is page 19.
in front of me. I think it was the big one was the roofing alternate that came out of the original bid.
Right.
Was a big plus, and then there was some, actually good credit, and insulation credit, which had a substantial offset, which was kind of the last, that just came up last week, about changing material down in the basement, which we all thought was a good idea. So you see how the pluses and the minuses go together. One was mechanical one, I think. So there were a few that you really had to do. A few were value engineering, for lack of a better term. And then the roof, you didn't have to do it, but it just made sense to do it at this time. So part of what I'm tracking for everybody will be this master budget report, so you know that there's 8, 9, 10 other things on the list. So when you make a decision, you're putting it in some type of perspective. Okay. So the goal for me is to do that on a monthly basis. It kind of ties into the application. for payment, and we'll keep tracking together, you know.
Right, we got the payment request in for today, but, so the change order to be considered really right now is for vermiculite, where they went to remove the window framings. I think, and I actually mentioned this at the last meeting. You know, a bunch of vermiculite fell out, and that has to be removed by a certified asbestos removal entity, and that's, you know, there's a cost of $5,288. So that's a change order that eclipses the $5,000 maximum that I'm authorized. So I'm coming to the board for that. But also wanted to acknowledge that there's a change order for $1,156, and that is for to put a heating into the closet on the backstage at the town office, you know, the stage area where the board meets. There was no heat proposed in that area, and the feeling was it never really gets used, but it's just a minimal cost just to run it up there for $1,100. The feeling was not a bad idea. It can't hurt, and can only help with overall heating in the building. Is that your feeling on that, Chris?
I agree.
Yeah, it's a real.
While they're there, it just made sense to do it.
Maybe the space will get used more if it's properly conditioned as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
It's gonna have some storage in it too, so
Yes.
benefits whatever you're gonna store in there.
And all this is offset by the $8,000 credit anyway.
Right, yeah, all this, that was a nice feature. I guess that was really, so we were gonna have blown-in insulation and
No, it was rigid, it was basement, the basement wall. We're gonna have a rigid ISO with a foil face foam, fairly labor, because the boards are labor, more labor than anything. And GPI's contractor offered them a great price to spray foam, which we were spray foaming portions of it anyhow, the rim at the top of the wall, the rim joint. And then it gets protected, you have 2 layers of sheetrock, so you get your fire coating and your protection. And that was a voluntary alternate from the contract, which was a nice number. Yeah, so that was, they're doing a good job. Yeah, they're doing well.
they exposed the bell,
Yeah, they rang the bell the other day.
that was me ringing it.
Yeah, that was you.
So they're gonna try to, I mean, Anthony, the primary contractor representative there, he really wants to do what he can to make sure that that's available.
That's good.
And it's quite a bell. It's a really
From
big
the
bell.
school
It's
days?
always been there, I've never pulled it.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. There was something sticking out of the ceiling. Who knew what it was? And then that was the bell. I had no idea. Anyway, so.
That's another good example of proposed changes, pending changes, surprises. You dig a hole, you find a surprise. You open a ceiling, you find a surprise. So part of finding the bell was a good surprise, but we also found that the cupola was not properly supported.
Right.
So there's a structural issue that you didn't know about until you opened it up.
It's supported by 1x lumber, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So at this stage of the project, which is nice, is I think 90% of the exposures have been open. The roof's been open, the sub-base was evaluated, the footings are going in, the ledge has been exposed, so the ledge could have been a big number, it's going to be a small number. So a lot of these potential changes are being identified and quantified. So this is a big step in the job right now, where you eliminate as many surprises as you can. But we're going to see that budget come to a
Even keel.
line item.
Yeah, once they get rebuilding, it's.
And so the footings are in, and then they pour the slab next week.
Yeah, putting it exactly.
They did bring up a chain link fence that they're going to install because people keep going in the front door.
Right, security.
Yeah.
Can't read signs that say, do not enter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they put plastic around the outside of
That's what orange.
the perimeter. Yeah. No, they put, it's black plastic.
Silt fence type.
Oh, good.
It's all, it goes all the way around to the, behind our trailer.
Good.
Now I'm gonna have to sneak through a fence to go see what they're doing?
Yeah.
But
I'll
we
find
still
it.
have Thursday morning project meetings. And, maybe, any board member wants to come, should feel free to come, 9
Just go
o'clock.
over and talk to Nestor and then I can peek in.
Yeah, and we go on, John Sococcio and Chris are at all the meetings, and so it's really going pretty well. I've been attending as well.
I should be able to make this one.
Great. I do get a record report from John Sococcio. He takes photos and he sends that around, so I'm keeping those for the record, so it's all going pretty well. Knock on wood.
Good news.
Anyone care to make the motion then?
I move to authorize a change order for the town office renovation project to remove vermiculite insulation containing asbestos at the cost of $5,288, and authorize the town administrator to execute any documents necessary to implement this change order. The board acknowledges change orders for heating in the backstage storage closet costing $1,156,000 and an $8,000 credit for passing on bid alternate 4, which called for installing dense packed cellulose in exterior walls.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your time.
Moving on to 10B, FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. Consider grant assistance for property owners.
One of the things I did is I handed out to you all an email that should have been included in the meeting packet, but I just couldn't find it. I raised this issue at a previous meeting as to what role the town would be playing with the private properties for which pre-applications have been submitted for the hazardous mitigation program. This is for
Senator Merrill.
yeah, Senator Merrill, for Bev Jelly, for the Rosses, for the Platts. Maybe I'm missing another. I'm not sure if I am or not. Chambers, the Chambers?
Yes.
Over here, yeah. So I had mentioned in the past, and then this kind of refers a bit to it, about whether or not the town would be running with, hiring an engineer to help these folks through the process and charging them for it, or not. Some folks may, I understand from speaking with Tom today that a couple of property owners have already contacted an engineer. I don't know how far they've gone with that or not.
I just heard they contacted him. He said he would work with them.
Well,
That's
maybe
all I've heard, and that's from Senator and Bev.
Well, maybe we can throw some business to that person, I just want to do whatever the board wants to do. I'm willing to run with, but I'm cautious about it in some ways on both sides, because if they go about it in the wrong way, they're going to end up doing it twice, maybe, or the state may be hesitant to reimburse. If reverse,
Procedural.
I don't know how the money's going to flow on that. If we hire someone, the money, it's pretty easy for it to flow. We pay for it, and we have an escrow account that they have to pay into, that sort of thing. It's whatever it is, it's going to be a ton of work for somebody, and if it's me, there's other stuff I won't be able to get done, and that's all I'm thinking about. But also, information I did provide in here, if you go to page
27.
27, that is information as to what is needed. A detailed scope of work, budget narrative, design work, for pre-application, so this is, you know, this is for one of the elevation projects. And then the following pages is an idea of what the information is that they want. I mean, it's a lot of information. And then if you go to page 33, this is a more recent letter from the hazardous mitigation team. They, I guess, had a mix-up where they thought that the Rosses were doing the buyout, when in fact they started off doing a buyout, then decided to do an elevation. And what they're saying here is that the elevations are going to be really, really competitive. So in other words, they may be able to go through a lot of legwork and not get chosen, and then all that money has been spent. And it's out the door, and so that's a concern. You know, you have to have an elevation certificate and engineering designs required before even applying for an application. So everything we've put in so far is pre-application. So the amount of work to go into this is going to be substantial. And I'm going to share this with the Rosses and say, are you sure you want to do an elevation? Because they're ready to do a buyout. And there's nothing else you're going to have to do, and there's no risk. Because they have a lot of risk on an elevation. Again, they can spend money on what's called an elevation certificate, and the surveyor has to go out and do all this. It's like $3 grand. Then engineering designs, that'll be several grand. And they may not get anything for it. And again, a buyout, that's, you know, the state will do all the legwork on that sort of project. At the same time, with the buyout, we end up with properties that we've mentioned before come off the tax rolls. There's no easy answer on all of this. I'm just trying to give to you some of the pros and cons and some of the challenges that lay ahead of us with these projects. And this is just, and that doesn't even count the town projects, where we're gonna have to have engineers and all that, and still those may not get approved.
Is there any way to get grant support for an administrative assistant to do this work?
Well, this is engineering work that they're asking for.
It's more than just coordinating, it's, I mean, I get that they're looking for engineering expertise to be put in it,
Yes.
but I thought you were saying that if you got involved, it would suck up a lot of your time as well. Is there a way to avoid that?
Working with engineers and whatnot. It's a good question. I don't know the answer. There may be some funding, but there's plenty of other towns that are looking for funding as well. I don't have any really good answers for the board.
I feel like at some point we all kind of agreed that if we go through this mitigation or buyout process on residents' behalf, that we should look for either some kind of subcontractor or project manager or some person to be involved and not have it be done by someone that we've hired to, you know, like yourself, to do other stuff. I just don't think it works to add that to anyone's plate. So
I agree.
We had 6 full years of getting all those buyouts done.
And if the applications are approved and go through with the project, there's money to hire someone.
Well, the town will have to manage the projects.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're understanding that there will be funds available in those grants to pay for a project manager to run it for the town.
But the pre-application, there's probably no funds.
I would say I'm not aware of any.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of engineering work that has to happen now for them even to apply. We don't have applications in yet.
Yeah.
So an individual like Bill Kearns or somebody who's qualified and organized and could help facilitate, you know, may not be the engineer, but obviously would facilitate all the needs.
Yeah, to be the project manager for all of these, is to hire someone to do elevation certificates, hire someone to do engineering for all these projects. But then the question is, you know, I would presume we would get an estimate of costs, say, for the elevation certificate for the Ross's property. We would have to ask them to give us that money up front, and then we hire the person to do it, pay them with those escrow funds. That's what we did with the plats.
The town has to be the facilitator, regardless of how we.
We don't have to be, but it would make a whole lot of sense to make sure that all the procurement is done properly. Because in the end, if something's, say we do the project and it's all set, and then FEMA goes back and looks at the project and finds, wait a minute, you didn't procure that at the very beginning properly, return the money. And it goes to the town. The town has to return the money, not the property owner, because they may have flipped it already anyway.
Right.
So it's on the town. So
There's a
in
risk.
general, as I've said all along, it's not a great process. The town is always at risk in a project like this.
Which is why we would want to have that control. We can control the risk.
That's my feeling,
better
yeah, we would want that
internally.
control, but it's extra work for the town.
Yeah.
The downside of, let me see if I can get this right. The downside of it not working is, if the buyout happens, is that we lose off of our tax rolls some amount of money. I mean, it's probably not going to be very much anyway, but
Well, could be. I mean, Ross's property it sold for $300,000. We're probably worth more than that now. They would only get $300,000 because that was the value at the disaster. It was within 600.
Wasn't assessed at that.
But it was within. That's what they paid for it within 6 months of the disaster. So that's a pretty darn good number.
Yeah.
Within 6 months after the disaster.
and if
Before the disaster.
if we don't help them, if we decide to not involve the town in this, then the worst case scenario for the homeowner is nobody's going to buy the property. I mean, it's flooded once, if not twice. Their outlook as a citizen of Londonderry is sort of bleak because they have a property that they can't do anything with. So I guess I'm trying to think, which is the better outcome?
For that property, to me, it's a buyout.
Right, and it's something that we would walk them through, is that right?
We don't have to. If it's a buyout, the state will do the walking.
Yeah.
The state wants these properties gone.
Yeah.
And so that is the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
But they won't have a house. They'll take that, call it $300,000. I don't know what the number is
And
actually
go.
going to be.
Yeah.
Then where do they go?
Have to go, yeah.
You try buying something for $300,000.
I'm just trying to figure out what is the best case scenario for the homeowner.
What's that?
You probably have to have a mortgage too.
And two
They might
loans on
break
top of
even.
that as well. So
They might just break even.
Yeah.
yeah, so
Depending on
it's
somebody's
not a great situation for that property owner, any old way you look at it. But
Well, and the
if
fact that
buyout
there's a
would be the best.
buyout, I mean, their neighbor is a buyout.
Yeah.
Two properties.
Two neighbors.
Yeah,
Right.
so I mean,
Ross is
it's-
across from the mill pond, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
and the ones towards Dairy
Yeah,
Woods
to
on the
east,
opposite
yeah.
side are both buyout properties right
Correct.
in a row there,
Yeah.
so. That's sort of the direction that.
Section
area
of town is
in London
going,
Woods.
yeah.
I mean,
If the dam were to be removed, that property would no longer be in the flood hazard area. That's one thing to think about. I don't want to go there, but
Well, I think that came up at one point too, and
Well,
it's
yeah, I
just
mean,
timing wise, I mean.
the map was clear, but.
They would have to
So
cross their
anyway,
fingers
yeah.
indefinitely.
But again, I just wanted to bounce off the board which way you think we ought to be going. Let them handle all the legwork on the application process, or do you want the town to run with it? Workload-wise, heck of a lot easier for them to do it.
Well, we had good tax-paying citizens who lost their property. I think if there's something we can do to help them out, that we should.
Yeah, so we could hire someone to do that. And we could try to, and that money would have to come from somewhere. It's not in the budget. We could ask them, to pay for it. They're gonna, well, if you want a project manager, we wouldn't necessarily be asking them to pay for the project manager, but could.
Have we already committed or allocated all of that last slug of money that came in? It's all been called,
What, ARPA?
the ARPA money,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
No, we used all the ARPA.
I think I have a couple thousand that's covering the.
And, I mean, when we're talking about this, we're talking about the same offering for any of the, all of the applicants, right? And regardless of what their choice is, or...
They may not want to do it, they may want to do it on their own. But again, if they do it wrong, we could be eating it later on. But, you know, we could, you know, the board could say, yeah, O'Keefe, make it happen, and we could say, we don't want to do this, and they say, no, I want to do it on my own, I don't want the town to get into this. You're just going to delay things. And it would delay things for them in some ways, because if they've already contacted an engineer, they could start on that. We would have to go through a procurement process, put out a request for proposals, make a decision, you know, as to what it is. So, you know, that's a month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah, 2 of them have an engineer. I don't know about the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do they know that we have the potential to help them? Or have they done this because they think that they're on their own?
They've done it because they were told they need an engineer.
Right, by the state. They know that engineering is required, and they...
But if the town was doing it, we would be handling that.
That's correct.
Yeah.
We'd be paying for it and organizing it, essentially, right? Both. That's procurement, essentially, I guess.
Well, if, again, we can hire someone to do all the work, and the question is, do we want to pay for that work, or do we want the property owners to pay for that through an escrow account?
If there was any likelihood that it would be balled into the overall cost eventually, I would almost say start utilizing the escrow immediately, and then if we can return it, we would, right?
I don't think any of this would qualify for once the project gets going. This is just what has to happen to actually apply it.
Just to get
Yeah, I
started.
mean, it could be that none of these are successful.
Right.
And so all that effort's going to nothing.
No.
It's absolutely possible.
Would it also be possible that it could be paid for, though? Or is this is ahead of that
Paid
whole...
for,
In the...
no, the project, if
in
the
the
project's
mitigation.
successful, they will not pay for the pre-application
Oh, okay.
costs.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
there's
there's no reason to escrow it then, if they're,
Well,
not in the same way.
Well, if the
anyway.
town was taking charge of it, you'd have to have them put their money in escrow so we could use the money to pay for the engineer.
yeah, engineers,
So
they're
they're-
more than happy, they're happier to work with the town, because they know the town's gonna pay them. They
So
may not
we're-
get money, I mean, with the previous elevation project, that engineer walked off the project. He wouldn't get involved because he didn't get paid by
Right.
the property owner.
So we're collecting the money and hiring the engineer.
That's a model that could work, yeah.
I think that's the model I would support.
Yeah, we can get the engineer could say, yes, I'll do that project for $8,000. We say to the property owner, here's the bid for that project. If you give us that money, we'll work with the person and get it done. Because an engineer would be much, like I said, would be happier to work for the town because they know they're gonna get paid.
I think that's essentially modeling the agreement after exactly what you're heading into, right? I mean, the town is working on behalf of the landowners and dealing with the state, and I think that sets the stage for the rest of the program, essentially.
It could, but, and again, just bear in mind that if I'm the person who's doing it, there's other things that are not getting done. So it's entirely up to you. I'll do whatever the board wants me to do. But there's no money set aside to hire someone else to do this.
Yeah, that's the
Right.
problem.
My thought, honestly, is even if these projects do go forward, the town's gonna be putting in a lot of time anyway. So it might be best for them to put in their time before. And then,
You mean the homeowner?
yeah. Because if
They
any of these
upfront the
get,
cost.
yeah, if any of these get approved, it's gonna be a lot of time on the town. I mean, I spent a lot of time on the plot project. He spent, who knows how much time.
What the administrative
Yeah.
allows.
Well, by far, yeah. They allow 5% for admin, but as mentioned, they are allowing for additional money for project management itself. So to hire whomever to do it.
Well, and so if that's the case, we would have to fast track this hiring, the hiring of an individual to even do this portion, really, if we were to offer that, right? And not
Well,
have it.
what Tom's saying is that let the property owners deal with it,
Yeah.
and not the
that's what
town
he's
at this stage.
Because
If
But
there's-
doesn't that put it at risk that it's not done properly?
Well, that's what we
I mean, a
experienced with the
professional
plats.
engineer, hopefully, has worked with some of these programs before
Right.
and has a good idea of what they need to do.
Right, and
What would-
but at the same time, they're also saying they're not gonna reimburse those pre-application costs.
seem
So,
backwards, yeah.
they're kind of talking out of both sides in a way, that why would they care about the procurement if they're not gonna reimburse it anyway?
Yeah.
Can I ask you what you would recommend us to do?
Yeah, I said, well, based upon our internal resources, I would recommend that the property owners run with it at this stage. And they'll get a flavor of what's to come in some ways, but we just don't have the person power to do it and get done the other things. We've got Spring Hill Road Culvert Project, the wastewater project, we've got the town office project, we've got upcoming, we have other projects. We've got Langrove Road full reconstruction this next year. There's so many things that are happening and not happening because of what our, the next thing on the agenda is to talk about the website, which I've been trying to work on for years at this point.
Well, and I think that, this isn't a project that's gonna wrap anytime soon either, so. Anything that's in our future is gonna be overlapped by.
Yeah, the buyout's just wrapped from Irene this week. So that's what we have to look forward
They
to.
find it audited.
Well, yeah. Well, plus we did an audit letter for the ARPA stuff that, so we'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah, I would agree to let the homeowners front and run with this first.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I don't think there's a real good or clear path through it.
No, it's,
Yeah, I'm just sorry we don't have enough horsepower to do it. So,
there's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
behind it.
What's that?
A lot of questions too.
Anyone care to make a motion?
I move to not proceed with procuring engineering services for State of Vermont Hazard Mitigation Grant Program applications for private properties.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Taylor seconded?
No.
Jim?
Jim did.
Moving on to 10C, FEMA closeout of COVID-19 pandemic funding.
Hold on one second. You'll see in the meeting packet, we received a letter that is on
Joe Kennedy.
35?
35, yeah.
It's 35, yeah.
During COVID, we received some funding for a number of different items, and at this point, they're closing out all the COVID pandemic projects, and We do have the ability to seek what's called Category Z funding. That is for administrative expenses. We would have to go back and determine what we did and when, and all the best we could get out of it is $389.72. My strong recommendation is that we not bother with it because it's going to cost us about $500 worth of hours to do something like that.
It's gonna cost more than.
Definitely.
Agree.
This is as a kind of a courtesy letter that it's there if we want it. To me, it's just something that's just not worth doing it.
No. I agree. Anyone care to make that motion?
I would move to decline to submit a FEMA Category Z project seeking administrative and management cost reimbursement for COVID-19 pandemic.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Moving on to item 11, new business. 11A, consider request for use of Pingree Park and use of alcoholic beverages in a public place. Cornhole tournament fundraiser by Terry Merrill, which I believe he's done at least once now.
Yeah, and it was fine, right?
Yes, it's to raise awareness for breast cancer.
But I mean, with the alcohol and everything, there
It's-
was no issues?
We never had.
Everybody was good?
I've been there both times, we've never had an issue.
People don't drink like they used to.
Here.
Anyone care to make that motion?
Sure. I move to authorize the use of Pingree Park by and grant a permit allowing the use and consumption of alcohol beverages to Terry Merrow for a cornhole tournament to benefit breast cancer on Sunday, October 27th, 2024, from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., subject to the conditions that 1, the permittee shall adhere to all local regulations and ordinances, including the town's ordinance relating to the use of alcoholic beverages in public places and the town's facility use policy, and 2, provision prior to the event of an acceptable certificate of insurance indicating adequate liability insurance in which names the town as an additional insured.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
11B, discuss town website. I just felt like it was time that we had to at least talk about it.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a long time. We did a bunch of research 2.5 years ago where we looked at a whole series of other municipalities and looked at their websites, which ones are good, which ones are not so good, and the whole thing's out of date at this point because people have made changes while we haven't. But nearby communities have done it. Manchester got a whole new website this past year, which I think is dynamite. And there are other ones out there. Now, my strong recommendation, I think Tina would probably agree, is that we should not go cheap. No, I don't want to say it that way.
Yeah.
We should go with someone who does, all they do is municipal websites. And there are really good examples out there that each of these companies will show you on their website. You have links to a bunch of different ones. I didn't have a chance to look up, but there's a few of them. And again, Manchester just did theirs within the last 6 months or so. I don't know if you have any others.
No.
I just
Go
mentioned
or
something
something.
when it was around maybe town meeting. Doug Brian commented on that because we were talking about the cost and saying it's going to be thousands obviously to get it done right.
Yeah.
And he might be a resource because
Who's that?
Who?
Doug Fry.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, and actually I spoke with Pete Smith today, who's our IT person. He says that he would really like to get involved in that just at several different levels.
Yeah.
He'd be great.
Is it a matter of having a cost allocation in the budget?
Well, we put $4,000 in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And haven't used it.
And we haven't spent it.
But it goes away every year, or it's not?
Yeah, it goes
We're not
away
adding
every
it
year.
up each time, right? Yeah.
Right.
Could Pete help you to do an RFP or come up with most of the RFPs?
He could be helpful to some degree, but I'd rather just see what other towns have done. VLCT has a log of all the different stuff that people have put in for RFPs, and I can contact those towns. But again, it takes a little effort. But there's a couple of companies that touch base every so often, and I did send to you and to to Kelly at the time. I got a whole file on this. But there were about, 5 companies that we wanted to look at, maybe break it down to 3. There's one that is Vermont-based, I think, but they still do municipal websites. There's Revise is a good one.
Would it make sense?
Catalyst did Manchester.
To piggyback that effort with, I know we spoke briefly and maybe loosely about like a logo or some
Yeah.
consistency.
We need
with-
the town logo.
Yeah, I have a page that has,
We've been talking about that for
yeah,
years.
I have a document that has about 30 or 40 different logos from municipalities in Vermont or surrounding Vermont.
Contest,
Yeah, contest would be a great idea.
No, it makes sense, and I think that a lot of times a web design company, with AI or whatever, however they do it, can include that type of brand recognition. Not really that we're
I
a
tried
brand.
making one with AI, it didn't, all they gave me was mountains. And it kept splitting up Londonderry. And
Well, there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
Gary. But anyway, again, if I were to show you my to-do list, you'd see it's the one that's in orange every week. It's there to get done, and it's just
I
too
would
many
say go
things.
for it. I mean,
Well, I think
and
what we need
whatever
to do
help-
is just invite, anything more than 3 is too much work, in my
Yeah.
view. And
George had offered to help us.
Yeah.
She does.
yeah, maybe I think it'd be a really good idea to get someone on the user end, someone who's a customer of ours who would be someone who reads, uses this sort of thing.
Maybe George and Pete could do some collaboration and
Yeah, and I
get
spoke
some
with,
better ideas. for
I
using.
spoke with Paul,
Endler?
from Abraham today, and he was calling about it because the Housing Commission wants to, wants a better
A link or
presence on the web, and so they're interested in it. Another thing maybe to do is, because Liam is, he's interested in doing it, he's also coming into a slow season, maybe he could be the project manager on something like this. I mean, not a whole lot of recreation going on.
Right.
Take over and he does his own parks,
Well, maybe this could fit right into that, though.
yeah.
So that we have one comprehensive website.
I sense a trend with understanding of internet technology. The younger you are, the greater your understanding is. So Liam might be perfect to help with that.
not necessarily. Being the older, younger, necessarily.
Yeah,
That's
there's
true.
some older folks quite sharp.
Well, that wasn't meant to be an insult. I'm just saying, some of that stuff is natural for the user part of it, especially too. It's,
Yeah, I mean, if someone could be a project lead on that other than me, I would be more than happy to relinquish it.
Well, it sounded like she was, I remember talking to her about it, and she was ready
Yeah,
to really
I think
help.
she's still interested. I'll see her tomorrow.
Who's that, George?
Yeah,
George would be great. She's awful busy though.
yeah,
Same
she
time.
is.
Maybe to participate, but
Yeah.
for someone to run with it. I mean, it could be as simple as just
But
give it a call and say, give us what you got.
Catalyst, they also are part of the new software for grand list software,
Who's this?
Catalyst.
Okay, I think it's
Yeah,
Cat, whatever it is.
whatever it
Oh, they
is.
are? Oh, well, that's nice.
They bought the company that Patsy and Maddox that was.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Well, that says a lot. But I think maybe you and I should run with this and just try to get it done. It may not be perfect, but I think it's high time we get it
The
done.
main thing is it needs to be user-friendly for people to upload their minutes.
Well, that's on our side, but it
Yes,
also
I
needs
know,
to
but
be
even
user-friendly
so,
on the user
I mean,
side.
But it also needs to be easy to navigate.
Yeah.
And I haven't even trained Ally how to do it yet,
Yes.
because I just don't have time.
Right, she and I are the only ones, Liam can also.
Yeah, Liam, and Liam he's been working on the town directory for me.
Okay.
Great.
And I really like your idea of the different emails for different boards.
What's that say?
Your idea of having different emails for different boards that you can sign up for, like select board, you can sign up for the email to get all the
Oh, for mass,
agendas and
Yeah.
Yeah.
planning commission.
What I want is, they should be able to email their minutes, and they should just automatically populate the website.
Agenda too.
Yeah,
would it help you if we asked for a time frame or a deadline? I mean,
Just put it back on the next agenda or something,
just
just to
keep
see
something
what's
on the
happening.
agenda, and we'll chip away at it.
what will help you,
We'll
yeah.
spend some time on this.
I gotta catch up on July, August, and now September, so,
No, it's a lot going.
yeah.
There's so much going on.
I just didn't want it to get away from us.
No, but if you keep that, putting it on the agenda and saying, what have we done, have we done anything?
So we'll keep that on the town. Old
Keep it as
business.
a rolling agenda.
Yep. All right, so moving on to 11C, Development Review Board Annual Appointments. Anyone care to make that
Anyone
motion?
here, I'll do it.
Go for it.
I move to reappoint Esther Fishman and Andrew Rackier as regular members of the Development Review Board for a 3-year term, extending to September 30, 2027, and Robert Trask is an alternative member with a term extending to September 30th, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If I might have your signatures before you go into executive session to discuss.
Yep.
Is that okay to insert that? You don't have to leave right before you do executive session anyway?
Correct.
It's just those two requests.
I'll take one or take two?
Well,
They're separate.
Take one, pass one?
You sign them both.
Sign them both, give it back, can't have it.
All right.
Sign your life away, Jim.
How much is this gonna cost me?
This is absolutely free. And you can go play cornhole later this month
I
for signing.
doubt it. You know, when it comes to logos and stuff and hiring companies to do your website,
Thank you, Jim.
when I was in Washington, they spent $2.5 million on a company that came up with Go Wah. That was it.
Hopefully we can find it for a little less.
I just learned that the town does not have an official letterhead.
That would be part of
That
having
would be
a
part of
logo.
branding.
Yeah.
I know. I'm hoping the judicial bureau doesn't block us because we don't have letterhead.
Right.
They learn
You can make up whatever kind of letterhead you want.
Well, I've got,
We should have a consistent letterhead.
It came up when we were having
One
the,
for the
Yeah.
letter when we send it out to the
Yeah.
rallies. Just a simple.
Thank you.
thank you.
Would you guys mind if I skip the executive session? My leg's driving me nuts. You don't really need me for it, right?
No, I think you're fine.
All right, thank you. Good
You
evening.
get better.
Good night.
Moving on to 11D, executive session, appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee per 1 VSA 313A3. I should know that by heart by now.
I move to enter executive session to consider the employment or evaluation of a public employee to pursuant to Title I BSA Section 313A3 and invite Town Administrator Shane O'Keefe to attend the executive session.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
In at 8:09.
something over there.
But then again, I don't know how the fuck mice get in my house either, but.
They still do.
Out at 27.
Hey, we're going.
You good?
Oh, your voice.
Shouldn't have played softball yesterday. What's that? Shouldn't have played softball yesterday.
Came out of executive session at 8:27. 11E, discuss employee recruitment. Read that, Bob?
Sure, would you like me to read it? So the Select Board received a letter from Shane O'Keefe, Town Administrator, and I will read the contents. October 7th, 2024, dear members of the Londonderry Select Board, with this letter, I am tendering my resignation as Town Administrator effective with the adjournment of the 2024 Annual Town Meeting, March 4, 2025, unless a successor is hired prior to that date. While I transition into my retirement and subject to mutually acceptable terms, I can be available to stay on in a part-time capacity until the end of the fiscal year to assist with the transition to a new town administrator and/or other project-related work as the board sees fit. It has been a true pleasure working with the board and my staff colleagues, as well as the many volunteers and citizens that make Londonderry such a wonderful community. Sincerely, Shane P. O'Keefe, Town Administrator.
So, now we got that out of the way, we know why we're discussing recruitment. And you guys can start off. We're starting just a little while ago.
So I was suggesting or asking if James would join me co-chairing or just co-leading the process of the recruitment, which we will do on a budget-conscious way, but reaching out to the two states, Vermont and New Hampshire, and talking with the Association of Municipalities to begin the process. And then we'll circle back and keep giving you folks an update. But the hope would be that we'd be hiring somebody to start on or about March, whatever it is, 4th. That sound all right?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
And we're sorry to receive your resignation, and we'll have an appropriate way of celebrating your work and your service to our community. But thank you now for this.
It's time to retire.
Yeah,
Been in this business a long time, so.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
All right, sounds like a good plan. Who wants the last motion?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
All those in favor?
Aye.